course, we are going to deal a chapter financial statements of banking company. In that, we are going to understand one topic: income recognition, classification of assets, and provision creation. We are going to understand about three aspects. One is income recognition, second one is classification of assets, and third one is provision relating elements. These things, income recognition and classification of assets and provision requirements, which are clearly only relevant to banking companies only. What is income recognition? How we are going to classify the assets and how much provision to recognize? We are going to understand these topics now. Income recognition, as per RBI guidelines, income of a banking is mainly consists of only interest portion, majority portion. That means whenever we are going to bank, we can understand or we can see the main portion of profit or main portion of income is only in respect to interest from the customers, in which they are going to classification of assets as two types. One is performing assets and another one is non-performing assets. The income recognition for a performing assets is on accrual basis. However, in the case of non-performing assets, if the classification of asset is NPA, then the income recognition is on cash basis. I am repeating my point. The classification of assets are basically two types. One is performing assets, another one is non-performing assets. If the classification of assets performing assets, then the income recognition must be on accrual basis. If the classification of asset is a non-performing assets, then income recognition must be on cash basis. Okay, this is thumb rule. Normally, when it's a performing, its income is coming regularly, then you can recognize the income on accrual basis. If it is a non-performing, the asset is not performing well, then the income must be recognized on cash basis or receipt basis. Whenever we receive the amount, then only recognize income, otherwise don't recognize into income. That will not be going to profit and loss. That's a major thing. Sir, okay sir, if it's a performing, we will consider as an accrual. If it's not performing, we will consider as a receipt basis or cash basis. How we will identify if it's a performing or non-performing? How we can recognize, how we will identify how it is a performing and non-performing assets? So what do you mean by performing assets? What are the conditions? What are the conditions to be satisfied to be called as a performing assets? Or else, what are the conditions to satisfy? What are the conditions to satisfy if it is a non-performing assets? So the simple performing asset, we are nothing about to learn about it. It's nothing but a non-performing asset. Performing asset is a non-performing asset. Other than non-performing asset. Non-performing assets are, these are identified, this to be identified. So basically, these non-performing assets are going to be identified. So how it is going to be identified? In banking sector, there are different types of loans. In banking sector, there are different types of loans. For each type of loan, there are some regulations or rules are there to identify whether the particular account is NPA or not. So how it is to be understood? On what basis we can identify? So suppose I am classifying into four types of accounts. The accounts given by the banker or the loans given by the banker, I am classifying into four types. What are those? One is term loan. One is term loan. The other one is cash credit accounts. And third one is bills discounted. And fourth one is agriculture loans. We are classifying whatever the type of loan given by the banker is categorized into either term loans or cash credits or bills discounted or agriculture sector. Only these four categories we can identify whatever the type of loan is. Say suppose vehicle loan, education loan, housing loan, gold loan, whatever the name of the loan you may call it as. We can convert each thing into either term loan or cash credit loans or bills discounted and agriculture sector. So what is the difference of these items? Term loan is you are going to take it at one time. You are going to take one time and you are going to pay to the banker on installment basis. You are the customer, the banker is there, the banker giving the amount to you on a single shot. That means the banker is going to sanction 20 lakhs or 30 lakhs or 50 lakhs or 1 crore, whatever the amount is. He is going to sanction one time and he will disperse meanwhile. That means suppose you are constructing a 4-floor building. For first floor he is going to disburse 20 lakhs, second floor 25 lakhs, third floor some portion. He will disburse like that. But the sanction is only one. When you are repaying, you are going to repay in installment. That means principal portion and interest portion you are going to combine and you are going to pay to the banker. That's the case of term loans. Cash credits are different. The banker is going to give you an amount of 10 lakhs and you are going to pay to the banker every month only interest portion. Only interest portion. That's it. You are not going to pay principal. And you need to pay the principal portion, the amount of 10 lakhs in the end of the year. So suppose the banker given on 1/5, on 30th foot you have to pay the amount. On 1/5/2020, the banker given 20 lakhs. On 30th April 2021, you have to pay the 20 lakhs. So is it possible to pay 20 lakh lump sum? Not a problem. He will renew the account again. That means there will be a sanction again. Or else if you want 25 lakhs, he will sanction additional also 5 lakhs. So this account, the cash credit account is regular usage account. He will give the amounts to you and every month you are going to pay the interest. The principal portion is not going to be paid in normal usual course. And at the end of the period you have to pay, but however that will be renewed. That means again that will be considered as a new loan and it will be rotating like continuing for further period. Bills discounted. Normally as per negotiable instruments, you understand about bills discounted already previously. The same concept, and this will be for each bill, this is separate section. For bills discounting, so suppose you have bills and you are going to go to the banker and you are going to discount normal rate, as you know this. But I have a question. Say suppose I am a trader, I have some bills. Can I go to the banker and ask him for discount? Will banker can discount these bills? The person will ask, who are you first? So suppose I am his customer only, I am a customer of bank only. Will he discounting? So suppose my transactions are very good in nature, he may think of it, right? But will he discounting for sure? Do you think? No sir, normally he will not discounting. Because the bills discounting also is separate sanction. That means as a term loan sanction, as a cash credit sanction, bills discounting also must be sanctioned by the banker. Otherwise, each and every bill will never be discounted. So here, what is the obligation and what is the procedure to be done? Here, the bills discounting is whenever you are going to assume there will be coming bills of the tune of 4 lakhs or 5 lakhs. Now you are going to go to the banker and ask him for 4 to 5 lakhs bills discounting sanction. So suppose in the period, in the first month, you are getting 2 lakhs bills to be discounted. You will go to the banker and ask for discounted. The discounted portion will be adjusted, and thereafter again 3 lakhs bill will come. If comes, that will not be discounted because your sanction limit is only 4 lakhs. Okay, getting my point. So bills discounting, that bill will be again paid by the drawer, right? Then the bill is over. Again you will get a sanction. And it is going on regular basis. And agricultural loans, as you all knows, the banker is going to give for specified period for the crop, and whenever the crop is grown and whenever the harvesting is done, then the customer will pay to the banker. There is nothing issues. Now, these are type of loans. Now, for each type, we are going to identify how the NPA is to be identified. In case of term loans, if there is an interest or principal, if there is any interest or principal is overdue for a period of more than 90 days. If there is any interest or principal is overdue for a period of more than 90 days. Sir, what happens if it is equal to 90 days? It's not an NPA, sir. If it is exactly equal to 90 days, it's not an NPA. It must be more than 90 days. So, what is interest, what is principal? As I already specified, in the case of term loans, we are going to pay regularly interest and principal portions. If a person pays only principal portion and not paying any interest, that's also not applicable, sir, if it is not paid. So, what do you mean by overdue, sir? Interest or principal is overdue. That means whenever you are paying, this is a due date, right? After crossing the due date is called as overdue period. Whenever there is a due date, after crossing this due date, that is called to be overdue period. Before that, there is no due date also, no issues. On due date, you have to pay complete amount. If you are not paying any complete amount, there is a something portion is balance. The balance is to be called as overdue amount, overdue period. In the overdue period, there is a overdue balance. If the overdue balance is continuing more than 90 days, that means the bank is going to wait for 3 months time. If it is more than 90 days, then the term loan is to be considered as an NPA. And in the case of cash credits, they are normally paying only interest portion, right? If you remember, in the case of cash credits, they are going to pay only to the tune of interest, and at the end of the year, they are going to renew. In such case, here, if there is no credits in the account, say suppose if you are not depositing any amount, then automatically it will become NPA. And if there is a credits, however, these are not sufficient to cover interest portion. Sir, if you say there is no credits, sir, I will credit 10 rupees. No, sir. If there is a credits also, but that must be cover sufficient amount of interest. If interest portion is not covered, there is no use of creating that amount also. So in the case of CC accounts, there must be credits, or the credit must be sufficient to cover the interest portion. If nothing is satisfied, this account is called as out of order. Out of order. If it continues as, if this account, the cash credit account is out of order for a period of more than 90 days. If cash credit account is out of order for a period of more than 90 days, then it is also said to be non-performing asset. So when the cash credit account is to be called as NPA, if the cash credit account is out of order for a period of more than 90 days. So when the account is called to be out of order, when there is no credits or there is a credits and the credits are not sufficient to cover interest portion, then it is said to be out of order accounts. Bills discounted.
Normally whenever there is a bill, there must be a due date, right? Either after site, on site, whatever the thing is, including grace days or excluding grace days, whatever the thing, there is a due date, right? After due date, this has to be paid. On due date, it has to be paid. If it is not paid, that's a overdue, right? If the bill is overdue for a period of more than 90 days, if any bill discounted is overdue for a period of more than 90 days, so bill is discounted on 1/5 and the due date is on 1/7. When the overdue is coming from? After 1/7. Because drawn is 1/5, discounted is on 1/5, but however due date is on 1/7.
So after 1/7 only, if it is not paid, then it's going to be overdue. And if it is continuing for more than 90 days, then the bills discounted is overdue for a period of more than 90 days. Then the bills discounted also called as non-performing assets. And agriculture sector. So in the case of agriculture sector, sometimes crop is good, sometimes crop is not good because of weather conditions and so many circumstances is there for agriculture sector, right? So for agriculture sector, there are two situations. If there are long duration crops, if there is a long duration crop and short duration crops. In the case of long duration crops, they will give one crop season. They will give time for one crop season to repay. If it is not paid even after crossing one crop season, that is going to be called as NPA. If it is a short duration crops, they are going to wait for two crop seasons. That means one crop season is over and another crop season also over. Even that you are not paying, then you are going to become NPA. So for agriculture sector, they are based on crop season, not as days. That's very important. In the case of agriculture sector, is based on crop seasons. If it is a long duration crop, then it's a one crop season. If it is a short duration crop, two crop seasons they are going to wait. If it is not paid even after the dates, then it is going to be NPA. Right? Now, these are the classification of assets as performing and non-performing. Performing other than non-performing. Non-performing accounts are term loans if interest or principal is overdue for a period of more than 90 days. In the case of cash credits, if there is no credits or the credits are not sufficient to cover the interest portion, it is called as out of order. If it is out of order for a period of more than 90 days, then it is said to be cash credit as NPA. If the bill is not paid, that is called as overdue. If the overdue continues to be more than 90 days, then it is to be NPA. In the case of agriculture sector, if it is based on crop seasons, if it is a long crop season, long duration crops, one crop season, short duration crop, two crop seasons. So for each crops, how we know? Don't worry about each and everything given by RBI guidance, no issues. Okay. Now, so income recognition, performing assets, accrual basis, non-performing assets, cash basis. So if a person goes to the bank and asking for, so can I take, so suppose I am a chartered accountant in practice, can I take a term loan? Yes or no? Yes, I can take a term loan. Can I take a cash rate loan? Yes, I can take a cash rate loan. Can my bill be discounted? Yes, if there is a situation, I can discount the bills, provided these are sanctioned to me. Right? Now, say suppose if I am not paying my term loan installments properly, and I am paying rate of interest portion to the cash rates, and bills are paying promptly. There is no conditions. There is no payment problems in the accounts. However, there is a problem in payment of term loans. Remember, sir, all the sanctions to me is a term loan, cash credit, or bills discounted. Everything will be non-performing assets. Everything will be considered as non-performing assets. Getting my point? So, if one particular person's account is NPA, or the person belongs to any other loans, whatever the loans taken by that person, all becomes NPA. Right? And a provision, the RBI is going to provide, given some rate of provisions. So suppose in the case of bad debts, how much provision to be made? Certain problems they are going to give 5% provision, 10% provision. The same we are going to apply. In the same case also, they are not paying properly, right? If they are overdue for a period of more than 90 days, out of order for a period of more than 90 days, overdue for a period of more than 90 days, these people are not paying properly, right? So these are bad debts, right? So for these bad debts, not to be written off, sir, just for our understanding I am saying as bad debts, these things we need to make a provision. Provision for doubtful debts, what we are normally called as, here we are going to call as provision for NPAs, right? This we are going to give a chart point of view. This will identify a percentage point of view, their its situation, right?